It's time for another UNC basketball recruiting podcast here on TarHeelIllustrated.com as we continue our Class of 2021 Snapshot Series, where we're looking at the offered kids and the players that UNC is targeting for the Class of 2021. If you've been following this series, one day we run a written piece by Clint Jackson where he kind of gives you the up-to-date on what's up with a kid, gives you a little bit of an evaluation and a pulse on the recruitment. The next day we fill in the cracks with a podcast, and we're doing that right here. And if you're watching us on YouTube, by the way, our channel, Tar Heel Illustrated. Our Director of Basketball Recruiting Operations, Clint Jackson. Welcome back on, my friend. We're into the kids right now that do not have an offer from North Carolina. And the young man we're going to talk about today is a guy you first introduced us to a few years ago. And I remember the first piece you did on him, and you sent me a photograph. I'm like, well, that kid's got to get bigger. I guess he will get bigger. And he has, and his game is growing, and he's someone whose video that I'll talk about in a minute that I've really enjoyed. But you know a lot about Efton Reid's game. You've been watching it for a few years. You're as clued in on that situation as anybody. So let everybody know your thoughts about Efton Reid, big center from the Richmond area.
A lot of times with big guys, there's the potential and the upside and the athleticism and the length and all that stuff, the shot blocking. And that's what they're known for. And it's like, okay, well, they need to develop their offensive game. This is a kid he's probably a legit 7 foot now. If not, he's 6'11 and a half. He's already got the offensive game. In fact, he had it as a freshman and a sophomore. So he's a guy who started off at the top level of offensive skills. In fact, he's commonly compared to a young Tim Duncan with his footwork, his patience. You know, he banks shots off the backboard. He steps through. He's got all the instincts in the pivot that you want in a guy of that age. He moves pretty well. He's not a floor burner like a Roosevelt Wheeler maybe, but he runs well. Certainly can shoot pop shots from 12 to 15 feet. His skill level is just so high. And he's so patient, and he never gets ahead of himself. And oftentimes he doesn't let the chaos of the game take over. He stays true to who he is. I think he's a tremendously skilled player, and I think you'll see him be a McDonald's All-American in this class.
I hadn't watched video of him in a while, so I did earlier today in advance of doing this podcast. And the thing that jumped out to me, there's an old saying I had a long time ago when you'd watch kids play basketball and you'd say, after a minute of watching a kid, you look at him and say, there's a camp kid. That's a kid that's been going to basketball camp for a long time. And watching Efton Reid, he looks like a kid that's been going to basketball camp since he was like in 3rd grade, because the way he economizes his movement down low, the way he gets open, he's a guy that's taller than everybody else in the court, yet he still gets him on his hip and does things so fundamentally sound. That, to me, made his film as enjoyable to watch as anybody that we've done in this series, because I love the fundamentals of the game. I'm a guy who could get lost watching guys do drills in practice all day long because I enjoy it so much. And that's why I really appreciated the Efton Reid video. And when you're talking about the advanced offensive game, it comes from that stuff. It comes from doing things the right way. That at this stage in his career, it's not something he probably thinks about. Everything is just naturally reactionary.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And he's one of those guys, you know, sometimes you get out there and you're playing in a game and you have butterflies, and then once you get comfortable, the game slows down for you. He's a guy that you can tell the game has slowed down for him every time he's on the floor. Even when he was out at USA basketball or the NBA Top 100 camp, he was comfortable making moves against guys his size, and in sort of a chaotic atmosphere. Sometimes he did stay true to who he was. There were a couple of times in the NBA camp where he tried to overhandle the ball. And I'm really close to him, I kind of gave him a little feedback on that and said, dude, be Tim Duncan, not Kevin Garnett. You're Tim Duncan, you know, like he knows that. And that's where he's best. And all these guys do need to have some perimeter skills to be marketable and to be sustainable in the NBA. So I get it that they need to shoot and they need to, pass and do those things. But he's a guy that, just his skill level is just so high. He's a can't-miss prospect.
Okay, so what is something that maybe jumps out? If people are going to go watch Efton Reid video after watching this video, and they're going to look for all the fundamental stuff, what is something that's maybe out of that range that jumps out in his game that might surprise people?
I think his ability to play within a team. obviously the best player on his team, and so he could be dominant, but he looks for open shooters. He gets the double team. His head is on a swivel. He's looking for the cutter. He's looking for the guy open in the corner. He makes other players around him better as a big man, and that's the perfect big man for a system like a Carolina or Virginia, who's a school that's doing really well with them. But I think he's a guy that's going to make others better.
When you think of finesse guys, when you think of skilled, fundamentally sound guys, sometimes people will question, okay, well, does he have an edge? What kind of edge does this guy have? What kind of edge have you seen from Efton Reid watching him so closely the last couple of years?
Honestly, not much. He's shown some toughness, but he's not real vocal and demonstrative about it. He's just sort of quiet and goes about his game. He's not going to be a guy that's going to, do a lot of hooting and hollering, but every once in a while he will show some emotion. But guys will go after him and poke him and forearm him and try to root him out. And he doesn't back down from it. He just kind of throws his elbow back like, hey, I'm going to get this position because this is my game. This is my floor. So he doesn't have much of an emotional presence, but he's very businesslike in the way he does it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. No UNC offer yet, but I know that based on the writings that you've been doing for us, and we've talked about them in podcasts in the past, there's been a line of communication. So kind of where are things right now in the UNC situation? And if the Tar Heels were to extend, what would that mean to Efton Reid?
UNC is warm with them. That's how I best classify it. So Hubert Davis has been in touch. They are, I would say, warmly recruiting him. They're a little bit behind some other schools, most notably Virginia, Louisville, Georgetown, Ohio State, and probably NC State. Some of those schools are a little bit further along with them. Kentucky, Carolina, those schools have started to throw their hat into the ring and show interest. I think this is a guy that if we had AAU circuit, he'd have an offer from everybody. Kentucky, Kansas, Duke, Carolina. I think he would be that guy that would have that offer. There's about 4 or 5 guys that we've talked about who probably would have blown up. And I think that he and Trevor Keels are the best 2 players in the state of Virginia right now. And I think Efton Reid is, again, I think he's a lock for McDonald's All-American. I don't see there's any way that he doesn't make that team. He's so skilled.
So some of these kids that we're talking about in this series that have not yet been offered, it's just a matter of, say August, there's a couple of events, Roy and the staff are going to see them, and a determination you think will probably be made fairly quickly because of the limited number of opportunities and the lost time. Instead of seeing them in May or June, they're going to have to wait till August. So if they're going to offer, they're going to have to get in and do it once this stuff starts rolling again, don't you think?
Yeah, I think Rollins will probably just need to see him once or twice to I don't want to speak for him, and he probably would cringe in his office chair hear me saying this. But sorry, Roy. But my opinion is that Roy would really like him because of his skill level, because he can shoot the ball and pass it on that secondary break. Roy loves guys that are, really good on the inside and can score with their back to the basket, but they can also face up and shoot, and they run the floor. And Efton Reid, again, not Tyler Zeller running the floor, but, definitely a serviceable big for UNC as far as running that pace. But I think UVA is out in front for him right now, and I think everybody else is in catch-up mode.
If you want more of Clint Jackson's amazing insights and scoops that he regularly produces for us, you got to become a premium member of Tar Heel Illustrated. It was $8.33 a month, but we're running a special promo right now through the end of July for just $49 a year, which is $4.16 a month or something like that. You can get a 1-year subscription to Tar Heel Illustrated. You get access to everything that we do. We cover UNC football, UNC basketball, recruiting for both very, very heavily. And of course, you also, because we're running a special promo, it's not just a price reduction. You get free Carolina Tar Heels gear of the value of $49. So come over to THI, sign up, and you get all the cool stuff, interesting stuff, and inside stuff that Clint's able to provide for us. And if you're watching this on our YouTube channel and you haven't seen a bunch of our videos before, scroll down, and a bunch of the videos from this Snapshot series are available. So Clint, great stuff again. We got a few more guys left to do in this series. I've enjoyed this a lot. The reception has been really, really positive, which has been good given the fact that there's not a whole lot going on in sports the last few months.
Yeah, again, I love doing them. I love doing them with you. You're a great facilitator. It makes it a lot easier for me just to talk. And you pull a lot of the information out of my head that I have to share. So thank you for doing what you do, and thank you for all the listeners and watchers. And as Andrew said, check out TarHeelIllustrated.com. I don't think anybody would be disappointed in our quality of content that we have there.
Yeah, you're still not getting a pay raise, so jump on another ship. For Clint Jackson, this is Andrew Jones. You've been watching another edition of our Class of 2021 Snapshot Basketball Recruiting Series right here on TarHeelIllustrated.com. Thanks for stopping by.